And thanks for coming back with us once again on Yankees Hot Stove. Well, the goal of the Yankees organization is always the same, to win championships. Last season's team fell short of a playoff spot, and for a variety of reasons, including the usual changes that every major league team goes through from year to year, the club that takes the field on opening day 2015 will have a much different look than the 2014 edition. Our Jack Curry recently sat down with Hal Steinbrenner, the Yankees managing general partner and co-chairperson, to discuss the state of the team.
Hal, I know it's still early in the offseason and a lot of moves have to be made, but what kind of expectations do you have for the Yankees in 2015?
We're going to be competitors again. We're going to field a world championship caliber team like we attempt to do every year and normally do. A lot of work to be done. There's certainly some positions that need to be filled, but we've got a good core of veterans right now, and what I'm excited about is we saw some young kids like the Greens last year come up and contribute, and Murphy, and you're going to see some more next year.
There are some obvious areas of need. As you survey the roster, where do you see the positions or the areas where the Yankees have to improve?
Well, we need a shortstop, most obviously. And I think, given the fact that Nova's not going to be back probably till May, I think we need another starting pitcher. And we're going to look at that, and we'll go from there. I mean, Alex is going to be playing third base. We'll just have to see, how often he can play third base, if he needs a rest once in a while, and we may have to look at another bat.
When you do look at Alex Rodriguez coming back, a guy coming back from suspension, hasn't played baseball for more than a year, what kind of reasonable expectations can you have for him?
I think we just need to see, but what I do know about Alex is nobody works harder in the offseason. He is a hard worker, and he's going to come in shape to spring training. Having said that, his age is his age. He's had two hip surgeries. I think it's going to have to be a bit of a wait and see in spring training. And but again, the good news is he's a hard worker, and he's going to come in good a shape as he possibly can. Then we're just going to have to go from there.
The Yankees are always under the microscope. I go back to last spring training. Masahiro Tanaka was the big story of spring training. Right. Alex Rodriguez is going to be a big story of a different type. How do the Yankees as an organization and Alex Rodriguez try and make sure that the focus remains on baseball?
Well, look, I think Alex is going to come to play, and Alex is going to come to contribute. It's going to be different. It's going to be a very different situation, without a doubt. But I think the players, once they see that he shows up in shape and is trying as hard as he can to contribute, which I trust he will, I think sooner or later that's going to die down a bit and everybody's going to start to focus on their job.
He had the longest suspension ever given to a player for performance-enhancing drugs. Very tumultuous period that the Yankees had to go through, that he had to endure. Where is that relationship now?
I don't live in the past. This is another spring training. Alex is coming. He's going to be, as of now, our third baseman, and I just hope everything works out. But as far as the past, too much to worry about in the present, too much to worry about in the future.
You mentioned how you need a shortstop, but I want to go back to the shortstop that the Yankees have had for almost two decades. How strange is it going to be to start a season and not have Derek Jeter as the shortstop?
It's going to be strange. I mean, when he got hurt in that ALCS against Detroit, and you didn't see him the next year, it's a strange thing. So we had a little taste of it. But this time, he's not coming back at all. It's going to be strange. It's a lot of years. It's a lot of history. And whoever does take over that position is going to have a lot of pressure on him, without a doubt. And but we're going to get a good guy.
With Jeter's departure, the Yankees no longer have a captain. Now, baseball isn't like hockey where someone has to be the captain. How do you feel about that? Do you think you'd like to see a player ascend to that position, or do you think also out of respect for Jeter that you just don't automatically make someone a captain?
I think there's a differentiation between having a captain title-wise and actually having a captain. There's going to be a captain. There's going to be a leader in that clubhouse. We'll see who it's going to be, but somebody's going to fill the void. Doesn't mean we have a press conference and name a new captain of the Yankees, but somebody's going to lead that team.
After making the postseason 17 out of 18 seasons, for the last two seasons, the Yankees have been quiet in October, no playoffs. How frustrating has that been for you? It's frustrating, and all I can do is look at the reasons and look what we have to do differently. We have to stay healthy, and nobody likes to use injuries as an excuse, but we set all kinds of records, and they were all the wrong ones to set. We set a lot of records when it came to injuries the last 2 years. We've got to try to minimize that, and we've got good strength and conditioning people in place. We've got good conditioning programs. It's just not that. It seemed to be a variety of ages and a variety of injuries. As you go through 2014 and there are games where the Yankees are so close and they needed that one big hit and a game slips away, how do you react? As you're watching a game, do you just hit the remote control and turn it off? I'm not going to tell you, Jack, what I do, but
I get accused a lot of not being as passionate as my dad, and there's no doubt that's the case. Very few men have been as passionate about anything as my dad was about the Yankees. But there's plenty of passion there. I just don't let anybody see it.
You mentioned your dad.
Yeah.
How often is his voice in your head when you're making a decision about this organization?
Well, often, and it should be. He did it for a long time, and he did it very well.
How pleased were you with the moves that the front office made during the season, where you added pieces like McCarthy, Headley, and Prado, and all of those guys ended up being very solid contributors?
They did. I mean, we had a good July. We spent a little bit of money, which we were never against doing, to stay in it. And the guys we picked up, Cash and his people, did a great job. They contributed, and we were in it to the end for the most part.
There was so much talk heading into 2014 about $189 million payroll. Obviously, once you guys had the opportunity to get Masahiro Tanaka, that disappeared. But is that still in your mind at some point, that getting under 189 would be a goal?
Absolutely. Whatever the number is. I mean, there are obviously benefits to getting under 189, but the overall philosophy of mine is shouldn't be a 220, shouldn't be a 230 to win world championships. Nobody else is.
When you watch the teams that succeeded in the postseason this year, is there any time where you looked at the TV, and not to be critical of your own team, but said, I wish we did more of that? And if you did, what were those things?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't watch as many postseason games as I probably should. It's a little difficult for me, Jack. But look, there were some exciting teams in there, some aggressive teams. I always like seeing a little bit of aggressiveness when it comes to base running and things like that. And there were some teams that were fun to watch.
You've got some Derek Jeter in your blood then, because Jeter has told me that when the Yankees are out of it, he doesn't watch anything. He will not even watch a World Series game because he misses being there.
Well, look, they're phenomenal things to watch, but when you own a team and your team isn't in it, it's a little different, for sure.
You've mentioned that winning a championship every year is in your family's DNA. How confident are you that the Yankees can rebound and get back to being that type of team?
I'm very confident because we're going to put a lot of hard work into it in the offseason, and we're going to do what we need to do. Again, I'm very excited about the Ref Snyders and the Severinos and the Lindgrens and the kids we're going to see next year. But I'm also excited that Beltran's going to be healthy. I think McCann's going to have a much better year. You know, I was very optimistic, and I think you and I talked in March, as we always do, going into this season, but didn't turn out the way, obviously, we'd hoped.